Start out with Steve Betza. He's our Corporate Director of the Future Enterprise Initiative at Lockheed Martin. He leads the identification and deployment of emerging capabilities for a corporation with 50,000 scientists and engineers and $46 billion in annual sales. He's had a 33-year career at IBM and Lockheed Martin, and he's held progressively increasing responsibility positions in engineering management, program management, as Chief Information Officers. His current assignment from 2013 to 2015, Steve's been leading Lockheed Martin's partnership formation with 7 of the Manufacturing USA Institutes. So his perspective on this is as a large industrial partner working with some of the manufacturing consortia that we've established. So with that, turn it over to Steve.
Well, thank you, Dr. Johnson, and good morning, everybody. And it's a pleasure to be here. On behalf of Lockheed Martin, we would definitely like to thank the Department of Energy. We'd like to thank the House Manufacturing Caucus for sponsoring this event. It's always a pleasure to be here and to communicate the remarkable story of what began as the National Network for Manufacturing Innovation has now been rebranded as Manufacturing USA. I'm going to say a few remarks regarding its business value to us as a large company, and I'll mention simply, and I have no slides, so I'm just going to speak from a few notes. We're very honored to have been the founding member of the first 7 institutes that were formed under executive order. The DOE played a major leadership role in launching several of those. The Department of Defense did as well. We have a 7-year commitment that exceeds $30 million in terms of our research partnerships with those institutes. And today we've got over 24 projects across the country that are either completed, in process, being proposed at a variety of these institutes, which are bringing together government, industry, and academia to do public domain research and to do it at a very high return on investment. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So my quick 4 points that really distinguish Manufacturing USA. Number 1 is the quality of research. These institutes were set up to transition technologies from the laboratory to production, to put them in real use in large and small companies, and to cross what some of us have nicknamed the valley of death, of where technologies, if they're not given that boost, sometimes languish. To just give 2 examples, at our Composites Institute in Tennessee, we're partnered with both a small company and a major auto manufacturer to help birth a next generation composite material to lightweight vehicles. You can think that that's equally valuable in aerospace and defense as it is in the auto industry. Similarly, at Power America in North Carolina, we're partnered on a next generation of power electronics, which are approximately 10x as efficient as our current silicon-based components today. What does that mean for embedded electronics in an aircraft and a spacecraft? It means that you can get dramatic improvements in what we call the size, weight, and power distribution. And just as with your automobile, taking out size, weight, and power is energy friendly, it's the same with every aircraft that flies. It's the same with every spacecraft that needs to be launched. The return on investment, if you've never heard this story, is breathtaking. I typically will quote across the 7 institutes that were members, and we're about to join the 8th institute that was announced earlier this month on robotics. We typically see 6-to-1 to 10-to-1 of a first, I call it first level ROI. And what that means is if I'm partnered on a project at one of Mark's institutes or one of the DoD institutes, we may be doing $3 million worth of a research project, but the Lockheed Martin contribution is $500K toward that effort, or it's $300K toward that effort. And where the power comes from is not only the startup funding from the departments, but it's the fact that many, many partners come together, small companies, small businesses, large businesses, universities, and all boats rise, because the grand scheme of this is it's public domain research to a great extent, which is then available for the membership to be able to import to their programs going forward. We've also seen these numbers be as high as 20-to-1. If we are in some situation where we're part of a program and we're an advisory capacity. I have 8 projects at the Additive Manufacturing Institute in Ohio where for about $500K of in-kind investment, it's $22 million of IP that's being produced. That's pretty remarkable math for a large company or a small company. So that's the second component. Third part that I'll mention, and it's actually interesting in that we didn't coordinate ahead of time, where Mark, you mentioned the technology advancement and people in action. Let's treat the first two as a technology advancement. On the people front, our exposure to new small business partners has been priceless with this network, in that we have been introduced to companies just exiting the startup phase, perhaps even just in the startup phase, and they're in angel funding or the like. We get to meet them. If they've got a unique capability, they often play the lead role in one of these projects, and the large companies come alongside, almost both being supportive, mentoring, and suddenly we have new members of our supply chain. What also helps that is all the institutes have consciously put very attractive membership terms for a small company to join so that it's affordable. Because let's think of it, if you're a $20 million company and you're thinking of, gee, how do I make payroll for 100 people every other week? A couple $1,000s is a big deal. $10,000 would be a big deal, and we've found attractive price points across the network that have brought many small companies in, and then they find themselves suddenly involved in $3 million of R&D in a way that they never would have thought of before. My last point would be on truly the people development, and I'll call it university partnerships and workforce. At each institute, it is very common to have 1 to 2 dozen or more large academic partners be involved. Suddenly we have new faculty relationships, we've got new research relationships. We've funded over 30 summer internships across the NNMI with students that are actually either come to work for us or in most cases actually work in place at their home university, and we help sponsor projects that advance these various technology areas that Dr. Johnson mentions. And a number of the institutes also offering online course offerings so that you have professional development, I like to say from K through gray, in terms of the opportunity that exists there from both STEM, higher education, all the way to very experienced people. So my closing thought is that Manufacturing USA was not just a good idea, it's very good business. And with that, I will turn it back to you, sir.
Great. Steve, thank you. One of the things I've noted in these manufacturing consortia, often you wind up, and that's the heart of why they're a consortia, one of the things I've noticed in these manufacturing consortia, and that's the heart of them being a consortia, is you'll often have direct competitors actually doing research together. So for instance, Lockheed Martin working with Boeing,
Yes.
and perhaps some of the supply chain companies of the engine manufacturers, GEs and Pratt Whitney, all together. But the key part is the innovation of some emerging small and medium-sized company that's got a new capability that all of them want. And by doing it that way, we all get further faster as a result. So that's fantastic to watch that.